Yeah, you heard me. Your build sucks. And you know it sucks, which is why you're watching this video. So today, we're teaching you how to actually build craft instead of just copying what some guy on YouTube told you to do. Today, we're gonna be going over literally everything from start to finish. It's meant mostly for complete beginners who opened their subclass, damn near had an aneurysm, and proceeded to close their subclass menu after slapping whatever in there and said, yeah, that's probably fine. We're talking about exactly what the hell a build even is. And then we're gonna get to the good part, which is how to actually make them. Your build is the totality of your armor stats, your armor mods, any exotic gear you're wearing, your aspects, fragments, and abilities, and any seasonal artifact perks. Now, I do want to slap a big, fat disclaimer on this video, namely about armor stats, which are potentially about to change in a very major way, assuming that Frontiers doesn't get delayed, which it is looking like it might. Most of this video should remain relevant throughout Destiny's lifespan, but when Armor 4.0 does come out, I will be making an update video, and if Armor 4.0 has already come out when you're watching this, you should see a card show up in the screen. Now, let's start off by talking about your subclass setup. The first thing you want to take a look at are your aspects. These are major modifiers to the way that your subclass plays. Things like Bleak Watcher, Gunpowder Gamble, Storm's Keep. Fragments are more minor modifiers. That's not to say that they aren't important, but they are less important to the overall loop that you are trying to create than your aspects. Aspects are specific to a given subclass, whereas fragments are only specific to that subclass's element. All three strand subclasses are going to share the same fragments, but not the same aspects. Included in your subclass menu are your grenade and charged melee abilities. Grenades are element specific, meaning every arc subclass will have the same choice of grenades, while charged melee abilities are subclass specific. You can only get Ball Lightning on Arc Strider. Class abilities are generally less impactful to your overall loop. However, things like Dranger's Lash on Berserker Titan and Frost Pulse on Shadebinder can make these an integral part of your loop. Your super ability is the ultimate fuck you button. If you need something dead, it's usually a pretty good way to get it done. In terms of your overall build, it's generally a minor consideration, but you can also just straight up build around your super, which is something we'll get into a little more later. Let's talk armor. Your armor stats, which the game will refer to as your build stats, affect certain aspects of your game. Mobility affects your walk speed, strafe speed, and your crouch walk speed, as well as the height of your first jump, but not your class jump. It also reduces the cooldown for Hunter class abilities. Resilience provides passive damage resistance, higher shield capacity, flinch resistance, and reduces the damage you take from breaking out of stasis. For all of the 4 times that you're going to do that in PvE. The passive damage resistance doesn't function in PvP, but this is a PvE video, so we don't really care about that. And it also reduces the cooldown for Titan class abilities. Recovery decreases the amount of time needed to start health regeneration, but doesn't necessarily increase the rate of health regeneration. It also reduces the cooldown for your Warlock class abilities. Discipline, Intellect, and Strength are pretty simple. Discipline reduces your grenade cooldown, Intellect reduces your super cooldown, and Strength reduces your charge melee cooldown. Your armor stats don't operate on a gradient, but rather a tier system. You only gain the benefits of increasing your stats once that specific stat hits a multiple of 10. 90 Resil and 99 Resil are effectively the same thing. Anything over 100 will do nothing for you, even if you do happen to hit 110 in a given stat. Armor will drop with random stat rolls that contribute to your total build stats. Legendary armor rolls at a minimum of 48 stat total and a maximum of 68. Certain exotics can roll with a maximum of a 71 stat total because of weirdness that I don't even fully understand. There wouldn't be a Destiny video without some of that. Masterworking armor, by increasing its mod energy to 10, grants that piece of armor a +2 to every stat. While this might not seem like that much of a boost, remember, a full set of Masterworked armor will categorically give you a +10 in every single stat. Each armor piece also has its very first mod slot dedicated to general armor mods that give +10 to a certain stat, or +5 to that stat at a reduced energy cost. Armor drop from the Master Dungeon, which rotates weekly, drops as Artifice armor, which also has an Artifice mod slot. Artifice mods have no energy cost and grant a +3 to the chosen stat. Exotic armor can also be upgraded to Artifice armor at the cost of an exotic cipher. Speaking of mods, we're talking about those now. Before we can get to the nitty-gritty of mods, we have to talk about armor charge and font mods. Armor charge mods are based around building up armor charge and then using it to gain some kind of benefit. Armor charge can either be static or decaying. Static armor charge is used to fuel finisher mods in your class item, and decaying armor charge is used to fuel surge and font mods. While you have one of these mods equipped, picking up an Orb of Power will grant you 1 stack of armor charge. Font mods provide a +30 boost to a given stat while active, based on the armor slot that mod is applied to. Chart on screen, now. However, those mods only function while you have armor charge. By default, while you have a font mod equipped, your armor charge decays at a rate of 1 stack every 10 seconds. I don't personally find that experience to be very fulfilling, but experiment. Go nuts. The world is your oyster. With that out of the way, let's talk modding. Your helmet mods are going to consist of elemental siphon mods, which will grant orbs of power on rapid kills with a given element, ammo finder and scout mods, which provide an increased chance at finding heavy or special ammo, with scout mods also creating an ammo brick for your team. Super mods grant super energy while using your abilities and generates extra orbs from supers, and targeting mods increases target acquisition for certain elements of weapons. The arms armor slot consists of loader mods, which increase reload speed for a certain element of weapon, dexterity mods, which increases the stow and ready speed for a certain element of weapon, grenade mods, which enhance the capability of your grenades, and melee mods, which enhance the capabilities of your charged melee ability. Your chest armor mods consist of reserve mods, which increase ammo capacity for a certain element of weapon, damage resistance mods, which are split into elemental and general damage. Elemental damage decreases elemental damage, with general damage reducing specific types of damage. Lucent blades, which I have just been reminded exists, and unflinching aim, which reduces flinch while ADSing with a certain element of weapon. Your leg armor mods consist of orb pickup mods, which reduce cooldowns when picking up an orb of power, weapon surge mods, which increase the weapon damage of a specific element while you have armor charge, holster mods, which will slowly reload weapons of a selected element while they are stowed, and scavenger mods, which increase the amount of ammo picked up from a brick from certain elements of weapons. Finally, your class item armor contains finisher mods, which augment your finisher to provide additional bonuses, which typically require armor charge, and class ability mods that modify your class ability to provide certain benefits. I'd also be remiss not to talk about just how powerful seasonal artifact perks can be. But I can't necessarily go over anything since the seasonal artifact changes every season. Generally, just be aware of what's in there, and it should be pretty easy to just click on anything that synergizes with your build. So, how the fuck do we actually make a build? Step 1, find the thing you're going to be building around. It can be a super, it could be an ability, it could be an aspect, you could even build around an exotic weapon. It does not matter, just pick something and build around it. After that, find what synergizes with that build piece. If your build around is a super, right, what does that super's exotic armor do? And will that help you in your build? If it's an exotic weapon, what sort of armor synergies exist? If you're building around exotic armor, what kind of aspects and fragments can you synergize with that armor piece? There's a lot more questions to ask, but I think you get the idea. After that, we're going into the subclass. Your aspects are either going to be build specific or possibly your build around. After identifying your key synergies, start with your subclass and literally just clear everything out. Take everything off of your subclass. Building from 0 makes your options much easier to understand in a vacuum than trying to swap parts out from whatever garbage you stuck in there already. After that, we're going to optimize some stats. Now, Rezel is absolutely, positively number 1! After that, start cranking up the stats that are going to give your build the best chance of success. If you're running a charge melee build, put on those strength mods. If you're running a grenade build, put on those discipline mods. You get the idea. 2 stats I don't recommend you max are your intellect and your mobility. With intellect, you get a lot of super off of orbs, and you also get a lot more supercharge than you would think off of just dealing damage. Passively waiting for your super is just not that effective. With mobility, the stat just doesn't do that much unless you're a hunter and you need to dodge a lot, in which case cranking up your mobility is acceptable. Next up, we're talking armor mods. Speccing your armor mods is possibly the most complicated and frustrating part of making a build, but also one of the most satisfying when you do get it right. If you're running a melee build, you're going to want hands-on in your helmet, heavy-handed in your gloves, invigoration in your boots, outreach in your class item. If you're running a grenade build, you'll want ashes to assets in your helmet, firepower in your gloves, innovation in your boots, bomber in your class item. I think you're starting to get the idea of how your build can influence your mod choices. When it comes to this part of the buildcraft, the world is basically your oyster, so go nuts. After that, it's time to take a peek at the seasonal artifact. Again, this is going to change pretty often, but generally you want to look at the perks that are either going to get you high value, or you're going to be able to make use of pretty often. Finally, and this is the most important step, test it and modify it. Test your build in all tiers of content. Builds that work well in low-level content might get face rolled in higher-level content. This is a process that every build crafter, at least every good one, is constantly doing in the back of their mind, constantly testing. Should I stack this mod? Should I be running this ability? Just keep going and keep refining. To better show the build crafting process in action, we're going to take a look at my Stormcaller setup built around Chaos Reach. We take a look at our synergies. Geomags are a free lock. They get us both more potent supers and more potent ionic traces, which gives us even more giga supers. The build centralizes around these ionic traces, which, with Geomags, gives us ridiculous super generation. With that out of the way, it's time to set up our subclass. With aspects, we're locking Electrostatic Mind and Ionic Sentry. Electrostatic Mind is basically free since it gives us more ionic traces, and Ionic Sentry is good because Bolt Charge. And Bolt Charge happens to be really good right now. Yeah, enjoy that while it lasts. For fragments, Resistance is a lock in higher tier content since you're pretty much always going to be surrounded. Amplitude will give us more orbs since we're basically going to be amplified 24/7. Discharge to further synergize with the ridiculous amount of ionic traces we're getting, and Ions for even more trace generation. For our abilities, we're rocking Chaos Reach. Duh. Storm Grenade because it's my personal favorite, and Ball Lightning, again, because it's my personal favorite. You really could go either way with those last two, though. Next up, we're optimizing our stats. We've obviously cranked Rezeal to the max, and I've opted for a higher strength and discipline to fuel Electrostatic Mind and Ionic Sentry, and also, I like pushing those buttons. The other stats are kinda just whatever happened to be left over. For our exotic weapon, we're running with Trinity Ghoul. Yeah, didn't think you'd hear that one today. You do need the Catalyst, but when you get the Arc-Slaying train rolling, this thing is a beast at generating ionic traces. It's not even funny. You can also swap out Delicate Tomb for even more ionic traces. You will need a legendary primary weapon. Let's talk mods. In the helmet, we are running double Siphon for even more orbs to fuel our super. We're also running Heavy Ammo Finder because the ammo economy right now is not good. In the arms armor slot, we're running Momentum Transfer, mostly as filler, Heavy-Handed for even more orb generation, and Focusing Strike to help with the amount of Ball Lightning we put out. In our chest, we are running Stasis Reserve, since that will allow us to shoot more linear fusion shots, a flexible elemental resist mod, and a flexible general resist mod. Those last two I flex in and out depending on what the activity is, so I don't generally have them set to one thing specifically. In the legs, we're running the Arc Weapon Surge mod, because believe it or not, you tend to shoot a lot of stuff with your primary weapon. We're running stacks on stacks to kickstart our armor charge, and better already because we're going to be picking up a lot of orbs. In our class item, we're running Reaper for, you guessed it, even more orbs, Powerful Attraction because orb synergy, and Time Dilation for surge uptime. Let's jump into the artifact. In the first column, we're rocking Unstop Fusion and Barrier Sidearm. Ignore this guy, he's not relevant. We're also running with Overclock and Load since we're basically going to have infinite uptime for it, Dielectric for even more bolt charge shenanigans, Flashover for even more bolt charge shenanigans, Particle Reconstruction because linear fusions are, again, really good, and Defibrillating Blast for even more champion slaying potential. I am not joking when I say that with Defibrillating Blast, you can often one-cycle a champion. The way this build works is pretty simple. You throw everything on, and then you use that. It is very simple in that regard. Many other builds are not that simple and require you to loops of ability cycling, but this one is mainly just about slaying out and then using your totally not the Kamehameha from Dragon Ball super. The most important thing to note is that odds are you're gonna make a lot of garbage when you start out, and that is okay. Sometimes your builds will be shit, and that is fine as long as you aren't sticking to a shit build for no reason other than I made it, therefore I have to stick to it. The whole point of build crafting is to be versatile. If you want to make builds that are less shit, generally you just want to pay attention to what Bungie is changing in the game. Things like buffs, new tools, and reworks. Chaos Reach recently got a 15% buff against non-champion enemies. Episode Heresy gave us Ionic Sentry, a new arc aspect to build and theorycraft with. And Geomags, Geomags got the works. Now synergizing with Bolt Charge and making Ionic Traces straight up broken. Seriously, enjoy this while it lasts because it will not. Refining and experimenting with your build is the key to success. Nobody is perfect, and build crafting is just as much an art as it is a science. But hey, that's all for this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now!